Welcome to our Faith After Doubt series. This series is for you if you grew up in church and have lost your faith, if you are in a moment of deconstruction or reconstruction, if scandals, politics, and hate have led you into doubt, if you are curious about why doubt and faith seem so interlinked, or if you're simply just curious about this community. This series is not about trying to fix you, because you are not broken. This series is not about erasing your doubts and experiences. Both are sacred and holy. All of us have doubts, and all of us are on journeys with similar paths. And Mission Gathering doesn't think that you should have to go through that journey alone. So if you're Asian, Hispanic, white, or indigenous, if you're a male or female, trans or non-binary, if you're 3 days old, 30 years old, or 103 years old, if you've never stepped foot in a church, or if you're a Buddhist, Roman Catholic, agnostic, or a lifelong evangelical, you are welcome here. If you are single, married, divorced, separated, or partnered, if you're straight, gay, lesbian, or bisexual, if you're a Republican, Democrat, an independent, or a socialist, or even not registered to vote, you are welcome here. If you have had or had addictions, phobias, abortions, or a criminal record, if you own your home, rent, live with your parents, or are homeless, if you are fully abled, disabled, or a person of differing abilities, you are welcome to join us on this journey, to share our table filled with the tension of faith and doubt. Welcome to one and all.
You are my vision, ooh, love of my heart. Nothing else satisfies, only you, Lord. You are my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, your presence, my life. You are my true word. I ever with you and you with me, Lord. You're like a mother, we are daughters and sons. You dwell inside us, together we're one. I don't want riches or man's empty praise. You're my inheritance now and always. You and you only, the first in my heart. High King of heaven, my treasure, you are. The victory's won. May I reach heaven's joy, oh bright heaven's sun. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, ruler of all. You are my vision, love of my heart. Nothing else satisfies, only you, Lord. You are my best start, by day or by night. Waking or sleeping, your presence, my life. Waking or sleeping, your presence, my life.
Hey everyone, Pastor Andrew here. I hope you have enjoyed our installments of Faith After Doubt. This is the last week of Faith After Doubt. Next week we will not be meeting in person. We will be taking Halloween off. So go out on Saturday and enjoy trick-or-treating or Halloween parties with your friends, or simply stay home and watch your favorite spooky movie. But there will be a little bit of an online talk that we have coming for that day. But I hope that you will join us in person the following Sunday, that we can continue this road together, that we can continue to walk into what God is calling us into next. And if you're somebody who wants to continue on that road with us, I hope you'd consider donating today to help us keep going and keep paying to keep the lights on, but even more so than that, to fuel this movement and this exploration of becoming our true selves and seeing God for who God truly is. Maybe, just maybe, providing some light for a world that is cast in shadow. So if, like last week, you are like Samwise Gamgee and you believe that a new dawn is breaking, that there's still some good in this world worth fighting for, I hope you'll join us in that fight. There's some links and ways that you can give, but more than that, share these videos. Be a part of this movement. Join our pages and get on board with like just chatting it up and talking about all of the things we talk about here, so that we can build a community that is based out of the truth that God is a great mystery waiting to be known. So join us, won't you? Thanks. So we're about to have our 6th year anniversary here at Mission Gathering Charlotte. And when I think about 6 years, sometimes it feels like those times were as close as yesterday was. But then other times it feels like it was 60 years ago. And if I'm honest with myself, when we started this community, we were truly in the in-between stage between between phase 2 and phase 3. We still viewed life as a quest, and that if we could just get all of the pieces right, whether that be inclusion or the right worship or the right programs to teach the Bible in the right ways, or if we just did it all right, if we just had the right coaches and the right ideas, then maybe we could get all of this church stuff right, and people would know that God loved them, and that people would come here and be able to grow and learn. But as we got here and we became more and more independent from those systems and those places that we came from, we started to be a little bit counter-dependent. Like, we wanted to be a community that was honest and thoughtful, but we also still wanted to be on the winning team of a game we were playing at church. Like, all of it was honest. We were doing the right things. We were developing and growing. Remember that these systems, these stages that we're going in and out of throughout our lives, none of them are bad. But we still really wanted to win. We wanted to be a church that would have like 3 services that the city would be coming to. And our understanding of God was still as God being our encourager or our cheerleader. But we also began to be pushed by the Holy Spirit into seeing God as mystery, into embracing that mystery as a part of our work towards inclusion. And we were being honest with each other. And I think that's something that's always been a part of mission gatherings. We were being honest with each other, asking questions about where were our own hidden biases? Where were our own agendas? What were we trying to drag with us from those first two stages into what God was bringing next, into what we were seeing next? And we were always a people who were trying to do things. We were trying to help those in need, help those on the margins. And we thought if we could just get people to believe the right things, that they'd want to do that too. We were those enthusiastic idealists that truly thought if we just got the right theology and the right delivery method down, that we could change the world and that we could start a movement that would fix it all. As your leaders, we would sit around and we wanted to be coaches that helped you live your best life now and to motivate you to help others and to feel connected with one another. And I think that we always held doubts as a virtue, but we also struggled with stopping ourselves from trying to explain away the doubts that you brought to us. And we tried to help find ways for you to overcome those doubts. I regret some of that. I regret walking around and telling people that we were a different kind of church. Because in so many ways we were a different kind of church. But the mode and the function were always kind of still the same sort of church. And that's okay too. But I wish I had been able to express and articulate what the real difference was. And I'm not up here to be like, oh man, the last 6 years were a waste of time. Or to say that that work wasn't good work, because it is good work. It brought us to here. But because I'm beginning to leave that stage of perplexity, I'm trying to be truly honest with myself. And maybe after a life that we've just lived over the last 2 years, you're being honest with yourself as well. Because the truth is, what I thought the world needed 6 years ago is very different than what I think it needs today. And what I thought that I needed 6 years ago is very different than what I feel like I need today. You see, after going through this book, this Faith After Doubt book, I see more and more clearly that what the world needs right now, what the world truly needs, is communities of harmony. And I could spend all of this time that we have together today talking to you about how Mission Gathering is already hitting so many of those points of being a community of harmony. But I honestly have more respect for you. I have more respect for you as people in perplexity, as seekers of the truth, and as well-seasoned practitioners in BS detection. Got more respect than to just do that to you today. To try and sell you on that this is the community that has it all figured out. Because we don't. I don't even know if the author of this book that we've been studying, Brian McLaren, has it all figured out. He identifies communities in his book that he feels like are communities of harmony. But he leaves it wide open and undefined of what it truly means to be a community of harmony. In stage 1 and stage 2, everything's so clearly defined. And even in stage 3, things are defined as being outside or against. So there's no shining example of a place that gets it right all of the time. Because I think moving into harmony is realizing we don't get it right all of the time. And being able to forgive ourselves and forgive others for when that happens. I think that it's hard because stage 4, harmony, communities of harmony, this is still in the construction phase. For us as human beings and for us as churches. This is the hardest place I've ever had to be as a pastor or a leader. Because rather than bringing you years of study and accumulated knowledge and lived experiences, this morning, today, whenever you're watching this, I simply am bringing an invitation to learn and grow with me on this journey. Because this isn't a place that I've been trained to take us. But it's a place that we have to go into together. Brian McLaren, our author of the book for the study, often likes to say that we make this road by walking it. He and others of his generation have provided us an exit ramp out of the religions that were suffocating us, out of the movements that didn't allow us to grow and didn't have any answers to our questions, but just led to more and more doubts. So the exit ramp's been built. But what Harmony invites us into is to build the road that exit ramp connects to. For communities of Harmony, this life is a mysterious gift. The good parts, the bad parts, and everything in between is gift. And that's super hard. Because for a lot of us, the bad parts of life have been really bad. And the good parts may not have been that great. It takes hard work to begin to see and accept life as a gift, to see it this way. It takes an encounter and an experience with the mystery that is God. I think it takes a lot of work to be here now, in this space, in this moment, right? Even as some of you are watching this, you're looking ahead to your schedule for this week. You're maybe getting email notifications or social media notifications about what's happening after you watch this. But being here now in this moment takes work, and it takes intention. So I think that as we move into trying to build a stage 4 community, a community of Harmony, one of the things that we have to do as a church, and that other churches should be doing as well, is to begin working on contemplative practice together. These are ways for you not to connect to God, because God, in stage 4, in our understanding of who and what God is already constantly connected to you and you to God. Your very DNA is of divine origin. Your structure, your atoms, it all has come from God. But as a practice, contemplative practice can be a means to be reminded and aware of God's presence in, within, and all around you. When we do this practice, it helps us to see God's presence, to see God's image in our friends, our family, our children, our spouses, our neighbors, and even our enemies, as image bearers of the divine one and all. Through these practices, the hope is that we will begin to experience God and to see God not only in the ways that God is spelled out in our theologies and our belief structures, but to see God in metaphor and to see that God is both in those things and beyond them. These practices allow us to cultivate a loving presence in our time together, so that it is a presence, a loving indwelling that goes out with us into our daily lives. Coming to church should be more than just making sure God's not mad at you. It should be a place where the indwelling of the Holy Spirit or love or the universe or whatever you want to call it comes into you, and it is something that you carry out into the world. And I'm excited for us to go through this journey together and to share our stories of this journey with one another, of our awakenings, of our ability to leave some of the baggage behind and to move forward knowing our true identities. But this work will be hard. Because then rather than focusing on a divine reward at the end of our lives, like we've checked off the box, we've got all the knowledge and the beliefs that we need, and we got our ticket to heaven. Rather than focusing on the end, this work is about truly living this life now, that abundant life, that true life, that thing that's always seemed a little bit out of your reach, but you knew it was there. It's about discovering what Jesus was actually trying to teach us through the incarnation. Jesus wasn't trying to teach us how to get to heaven, but Jesus was trying to teach us how to be truly human. And y'all, learning to be truly human is hard. It requires us to die to ourselves, but not how evangelicals mean it. Not in performative acts of piety and moralism, of trying to outweigh the good with the bad with the good. But dying to ourselves is allowing that false self, the ego that we've built up all around ourselves, the identity, the false identity that skews who you are, that shield, that window dressing you put up so that people won't see you. It's about allowing that all to fade and entering into what the mystics call ego death. Or as Jesus once put it, I assure you that unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it can only be a single seed. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. You see, that's hard. If loving God begins with loving ourselves, then we have to begin to see who we really are. If loving our neighbor is to be as we love ourselves, then we got to do a better job at loving ourselves and get past all the ego, get past all the BS, get past all of the things that you've used to protect yourself from places and people that try to do harm to you. To begin to see yourself as God's beloved, as who you really are. To find our identity together rooted in God, or as Paul Tillich says, to find it rooted in the ground of all being. The self that is you present in God is the only true self that exists. And I hope that you'll take this journey to try and discover that with me and with your fellow Mission Gathering folks, whether it's online or here in person. That each of you will help build something new, that we will build that road together by walking it so that generations yet to be born will be further down this road to understanding what it means to be a child of God more than we can ever expect that we knew before. My hope is that rather than a new reformation, which I see so many people calling for, that this moment would be a reclamation, that it would be a reclamation of our identity and our lives, that we would reclaim our identity in Christ and in ourselves, to live fully into the love of Christ, which animates and dwells within each of us. To help us start this journey, I have an exercise borrowed from the Center for Action and Contemplation. Join me in this moment of being grounded in who you are, who you've always been. Would you be here now with me? May it be so. At this moment, you may feel the full weight of chaos and stress. Take this time with us to turn inward and connect to your innermost you. Gently close your eyes and feel the rhythm of breath inside your body as you repeat these words. My deepest me is love. My deepest me is whole. My deepest me is limitless. My deepest me is infinite. My deepest me is compassion. My deepest me is sacred. My deepest me is mystery. My deepest me is forgiveness. My deepest me is beauty. My deepest me is God. My deepest me has knowledge to give. I open my heart and listen. Peace be with you.